So we're going to talk through three practical solutions where Novacura combines these type of AI elements. We'll start with a pretty foundational challenge that we find with our customers, which is data quality, specifically how to manage and cleanse master data parks. Next, we'll move into more of the predictive realm. We talk a little bit about how we help one of our propane customers determine and anticipate when their customers would need refills of their propane tanks. And then the third is predicting machine failures, which I'm sure a few of you have heard already, but we have the ability to decide preemptive to a failure when something may occur using AI. I think before I dive into that, it's important to introduce Novacura. I see some friendly faces in the crowd, but also some people who maybe not know who we are. And to do that, I think we are, generally speaking, a software company that focuses on delivering low-code solutions that help organizations expand their business systems. Those systems are, in terms of this conference, IFS Cloud. They could be IFS applications. But we also expand past those ecosystems. Think CRM, NBS solutions. We have the ability to connect into all of those. We like to think of the ERP as a powerful car, usually pretty reliable, good performance, has a lot of control. But like any car, has its own limitations based on how it's configured. And we at Novacura are the wheels on the car that help it go a bit further. And we can also be the rocket that helps go a little bit faster. We're a global company. We have 10 offices in 3 countries. We're headquartered in Sweden, but we do have the pretty big presence in Europe, North America, and Asia Pacific. You see a list of our customers up here. These are a few of many customers who trust Novacura to expand their ERP systems. We work in all industries: manufacturing, logistics, energy, field service customers. And we typically help customers reduce complexity and connect their business systems through end-to-end processes. We are a multi-time IFS Chamber Partner of the Year. We think this is a pretty important recognition. It's only trusted to the most impacted partners in the IFS ecosystem. And at the heart of Novacura is our platform, which we call Novacura Flow. This is a powerful, low-code platform that connects, extends, and accelerates ERP. Our mission is to streamline our customers' processes with fully mobile, adaptable software solutions. I can do that by pretty much building workflows that are published into applications. With Novacura Flow, you can build applications using this intuitive flow designer. We had easy drag and drop capabilities to build out the workflow before publishing an application. Or if you don't want, we have the ability to use our marketplace with pre-downloadable applications, so you don't have to start from scratch. And it exactly dedicated and connect for either IFS Cloud or IFS applications if you're on older versions. With 50 other connectors, you have the ability to integrate and orchestrate entire business processes and with one click of a button, deploy those to Android, iOS, or web applications. And you can start using those across your business instantly. So let's take a look at how we apply this in practice. I think starting with the first use case here, which is that master data cleansing. So I think important to note that before any process can be ran smoothly, whether that's in procurement or manufacturing, even logistics, the data that you have needs to be consistent. It needs to be trustworthy. And realistically, for many of our customers, even in IFS, that sadly isn't the case for the most part. One of our customers recently came to us with a problem. They had about 100,000 different master parts in their system, created across different business units, in different countries with different languages, and even different naming conventions. I think we found that this would be a perfect case for UI. But it's not the AI that everyone thinks, right? When we talk AI, everyone thinks ChatGPT. I'm just going to plug it in and ask it to cleanse my data. And that's not really, doesn't really work, is what we find. So I'll talk a little bit about this today. We think there's a couple misconceptions in how this works, one of which I'll sort of explain in this example here. So what we did to tackle this is propose a solution to them. We built an app in Novacura Flow, combining AI, role-based validation, and even some human review at the end to clean and control the data. You can see here just two views of that, of what it looks like inside of Novacura Flow. They are applications that we built. Behind the scenes, very complex, but to the front end user, pretty simplistic. And during this process, what we found is that there's a big misconception when we hear AI, that it is just a magic fix. I can just plug it in and play and it works. That's not what we find. In truth, there's no real single AI model that can clean and standardize this type of data. And it can't definitely do it end to end. What we did was combine multiple tools. We combined language models, semantic comparison, and even structured logic. But the most important part was having a human in the decision-making process at the end. And what the end result looks a little bit like is something like this. It is a workflow. Our approach is to blend AI where it was strong in certain areas, which I'll talk about here in a second, like interpreting message descriptions, translating languages, with traditional business process logic. So where Novacura is exceptional at is doing just that, combining it into a total process. And at the end, we're able to provide that information for decision-making to a human. We refer to this as the human in the loop. So the first step in this process was cleaning the hard data. And the problem we faced was that the customer used multiple languages. So we used AI to translate the part descriptions into a single consistent language. Next, we used the AI model to restructure the descriptions into a standardized process, a format. So instead of the free text chaos you see in front of you right here, we were able to put it into a consistent description. And last but not least, we pulled out embedded information like manufacturer part number in the description. And we made sure that those were put into structured fields within IFS. Made the data a little bit more clear, but most importantly, more easily able to compare against one another. And another challenge was just normalizing the unstructured data. So if you had a big description, we needed to be able to convert that into things like weights, dimensions, capacities, and put those in correct fields inside of IFS. AI extracted those values, converted them into standard units of measure, and then ultimately attributed those to the correct places that they were supposed to be in the ERP system. From there, what we were able to do is actually put a total correlation factor to these items. So we were able to use AI to give a value that told us what the chances were that it was a duplicate. And we could present those to our customer. This is just a view of what it looks like in Novacura, but it's easily able to show you which one of these values may or may not be duplicates based on that correlation value and a confidence level. So just in front of you, the red lines pretty much are all the same part in your system. The yellow lines are all the same part. So it finds duplicates fairly well. But once again, the process it seems a bit complex when I talk about it in all those steps, but what the user sees is just screens like this. They see a screen that shows a part number and possible duplicates to that. And then what we do is we keep the human in the loop, simple intuitive interfaces that allow them to select what to do. Should we delete the parts that are duplicates? Should we retire those parts? All through a couple clicks of a button. And I think the results speak for themselves. In this process, we actually achieved a 78.7% true positive rate. So that means that out of 5 of these products, we were able to find 4 of the duplicates. So pretty good rate of return when you talk about AI. And then even more importantly, we reached about a 9.3% true negative, meaning our AI was pretty capable of actually not detecting false positives, which is really powerful when you think about it. So ultimately, we're able to speed up the process and confidence that our customers have within AI. One of the next solutions that we focused on for our customers was more about customer experience and logistics. So one of our customers, a propane distributor, wanted to move from reactive refills to proactive refills. What this meant is that today they were getting phone calls from their customers about when their tanks were empty, or they had sensors on their tanks that would tell them when they're at a low level, and that would automatically make them go out there and start to refill, or they would call the customer and ask if they could come refill. The problem was that tank usage varied widely by region, weather, customer behavior, and even the time of year, right? Most people use propane more in winter than in summer. So relying on the tank sensors actually made them a pretty reactive customer chasing demand, and often it led to unoptimized deliveries. So our goal was clear. We wanted to predict when a customer needed the propane prior to them needing it, ultimately trying to make a better customer experience in the refill process. To solve this, what we did is we actually built a machine learning model trained on multiple variables. That was past consumption patterns, fill histories, upcoming weather expectations, like are they expecting a hurricane or a storm in the future? So it had news data feeds coming into it. And what this allowed us to do is actually predict the ideal refill rate for each of their customers. So it would actually determine when their vote threshold would occur, and ultimately creating a proactive opportunity for a customer reach out. So pretty complex, but again, once they see our really basic screens, we were able to use IFS data mixed with our AI model, our NL model, and ultimately show it to our customers in a few views. Those views look a little something like this. Because once the model generates a prediction, the data is pushed to Novacura Flow, and then a person can decide whether they want to actually output to a dispatcher for those refills. They can see when the next refill is supposed to be complete, and then ultimately decide if they want to create a work order for dispatch. All within a few clicks of a button. One of our third and final examples that we see quite a bit is that we want to shift from asset performance to actually being more predictive versus proactive even. So unplanned maintenance is usually one of the most costly events in manufacturing. And typically what we see with our customers in these asset intensive fields is that they want to be able to predict when the equipment will fail prior to it failing, and ultimately stopping production. So for us, where we start with this issue is usually that this customer particularly, they had a couple pieces of equipment. Those pieces of equipment were already giving out data. And it had something like temperature, vibration, power consumption, and a few more elements. So we have a connector, which we refer to as the OPCUA connector. and a few other protocols where we're able to pull in data from these machinery and bring it into Novacura Flow, where it can be processed, analyzed, and acted on. So then what we can do is push that data off to IFS, typically through back-end integrations in this case. And this allows us to use an AI model to learn from historical failure patterns and sensor trends. So what this goal was to try to create early trend signs of failure. So the AI would output a statistical model that would say, this is when we expect an issue, and it would give us some anticipated dates of failure. If the risk level hits a certain threshold, it would automatically trigger some escalation. Now, that escalation usually went out in an alert through a mobile device to a supervisor, looked a little something like this. What this allowed them to do is shut down the plant appropriately without being able to react and actually schedule unplanned downtime. And because it's all integrated with IFS, the actions go directly into the asset management system, work orders, and go into maintenance plan. So a couple of misconceptions in summary. I think it's important to hit on these. Let's start with reality that AI is only as smart as the data you're going to get it. I think if you go through any of these projects with us, I've heard them talk a little bit at IFS about Nexus Black even. I'm sure you'll talk to you about how important the data quality is. That means it's structured, it's consistent, and even often better if it's real-time data. I said it before, I'll say it again. There's no plug-and-play AI tool. I'll reach back out to Nexus AI. It's funny to see them put together this team now, right? Because they're doing the same thing. It's the concept that there's no one-fits-all AI solution. They have a team who can help you implement these AI solutions. And we think the same way. There's really no tool that you can just switch on ChatGPT or any other large language model, and it's going to fix the issues. To us, each business is unique. The data structures are a little bit different, and sometimes even the decision logic is a bit different. That's why we think you need to tailor each AI solution to each customer, and we could do that to be specific workflows. And while AI is great at pattern recognition, even automation, probably, the decision-making process should stick with the end users. You guys should put the hand of the decisions with someone who has experience, context, and the nuance of your facilities. I think a goal isn't to replace people, it's to just give them faster information, better recommendations, and fewer repetitive tasks. So for us, we build solutions that let AI flag anomalies, suggest actions, but ultimately the humans are the ones making the decision at the front-end applications, as I've shown in these three examples here. So I think throughout the examples, hopefully you'll see that there's a pretty common thread. AI only works when it's connected, contextual, and actionable. I think Novacura can bring all that together. We can do the data connectivity portion, the low-code customization for your business process. We have the human interaction, and we can build an AI integration. So we can actually build those real-world design processes, plug in AI where it adds value and where we know where it does it, and deploy those apps across your organization. So for us, we're actually looking for more customers who have these ideas of how AI can support their organizations. We would love for you to all come to the booth, give us some feedback, tell us how you guys have these solutions you'd like to hear. We'd love to hear about them, and ultimately, we hopefully can implement a few with you all. If you are a customer of ours, let us know. Probably have the capabilities of doing this today. If you're not a customer, we can talk a little bit in details about how to infuse AI into these real world scenarios.